Baldelli is clearly, not pedal to the metal, but he's getting, by his standards at least, much more aggressive in several very noticeable ways. One of which is running a double steal of home twice in the span of one homestand. Right. The others, you saw the squeeze bunt from from Brooks Lee that won the game. That was in its own way very aggressive. You've seen him push Varland and Duran a second full inning, which he doesn't often do. And I think, in my view, in its own way, removing, Woods Richardson, removing Festa, rather than trying to, with, a slim lead or a close game, instead of asking them to get through a lineup, the core of a lineup a third time, and you're aggressively going to your bullpen, is, I think, trying to grab hold of that game and basically take control and win it, as opposed to just kind of letting it play out. And you can debate which option is better, leave your starter and go to the relievers. We actually had a long discussion about that on the last Patreon episode where I was mean to John. Although not by my stand. I mean, it was like a
nothing.
4-hour chat, really. But I think in its own way, that's aggressive too.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Or even pinch hitting for Larnach for Bader, which I did in the last game of the race thing. We talked about that a lot on the Patreon on Monday or Tuesday. So,
and speaking of aggressive, by the way, you tweeted a couple things about this, but we should give some props to Tommy Watkins, the third base coach, whose job essentially only gets criticism for two very aggressive and maybe in the moment,
foolhardy
sends, one of Larnach and one of Jeffers, both of whom scored. Neither of whom are the fleetest of foot, but they both had some nifty creative slides and scored runs there, where that is what happened. That is the good side of an aggressive third base coach sending. The bad side is what gets more attention, which is you get dead ducks at the plate and all that. But again, I think that maybe goes towards aggression. It wouldn't shock me at all if Watkins was doing that, in part because the coaching staff as a whole has decided to get a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more aggressive in some of these spots. So I
would suggest that Rocco is managing a lot more like we've seen him generally manage in, say, October and September and August than he is earlier in the season. We've seen this from Rocco in previous years, where he's a little bit more, let's wait back and see what happens here in April, May, June, July. But then when pedal comes to the middle, okay, now we're in a pennant race. I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive. I'm going to, maybe keep my pitchers in a little less long. I'm going to pinch hit a little bit more. I think just the nature of this season, the, the poor start and the, slump that they had in June and the pitching problems they've been dealing with, he's just gotten to the point where I feel like he's a little more hands-on, and he's managing a lot more like it's a pennant race or a postseason, because, right now they're on the edge. They need that. They need every little edge they can get to try and
they don't have wins to spare at this point. And beyond that, the lineup has been so inconsistent and just not good for most of the season that you're playing a lot of tight games. And when the pitching staff isn't just, put Joe Ryan or Pablo out there and set it and forget it for 7 innings, you gotta maneuver some things, and pushing an extra run across can have a big impact because you're not hitting your way to those runs. You're not having big innings offensively. And from a pitching standpoint, if it's a 2-0 game, and yes, Woods Richardson was looking good, but do you really want him facing Kyle Tucker and Pete Crow Armstrong and Michael Busch, 3 great left-handed hitters, a third time through the lineup, where if you put one guy on, then the tying runs at the plate? Like, I think those are, I'm not saying they're good or bad. We discussed that more on the Patreon last time, right? The morning after the Woods Richardson decision. But I do think it's in its own way aggressive in that it's trying to take control of a game and sort of dictate its terms, rather than letting it play out and go more naturally with it.
I'll add this too. With this bullpen, as strong as it can be at the top and as weak as it can be at the bottom, it's a lot. Going into the 6th inning with a 1-run lead is significantly different than going into the 6th inning with a 1-run deficit. That's true in most baseball games, I think, but I think it's especially true when you've got a bullpen that you really trust with 4 high leverage arms, or maybe even 5 high leverage arms that you can plot out there. It matters, those early runs, that that small lead that you might get in the middle innings makes a difference in terms of this team's win probability. And welcome to the end of this video. There's lots more. For another, just click on one of these boxes.
Or click on this circle in the middle to subscribe to all of our Twins Talk.
Thank you.